Hey guys, so last week we covered Flip's top 10 Game of Thrones moments of Season 7, and this week we're going to cover mine, so let's dive in. Season 7 had a lot to offer, primarily because it was moving at Mach speeds, allowing the show to cover a lot more ground in a short span of time. Gone are the days of waiting for 3 or 4 episodes for things to unfold, and there's a good reason for this. Before now, we were witnessing a lot of intertwining paths converge all the way from Essos, Braavos to Westeros and north of the Wall, and now that all of the characters who are invested in Westeros are in one place, the story can now afford to move at a pace more akin to a linear narrative. Number 10, Samwell cures grayscale. Topping off the list is one of those esoteric moments in the season that seem to fly below a lot of people's radar. Happens during the more subdued moments of the season. Sam is having a rough go at being a maester in training. We see everything from poop soup to grand academia. But inside this lapse of time is a very important step in this story. Sam not only reveals his latent talent of learning complex procedures simply by following a quote-unquote recipe, but also cures Ser Jorah of all that ails him, allowing him to return to Dany and aid in the progression of her liberation of Westeros, as well as help Jon in his endeavors against the White Walkers. Number 9, Dragons in the Sky. When the season first started and Dany landed in Dragonstone, all the branching narratives came to a head and the war was officially on. Dany spent a great deal of time butting heads with Tyrion on the specifics of battle strategy and how best to move forward with her plans, but at every single turn, Tyrion was thwarted. Yara and Theon were routed at sea, his conquer of Casterly Rock ambushed by Euron's fleet, Valyria Sand and the Sand Snakes captured or killed, the loss of Highgarden, and the Tyrell fortune. All these things compounded resulted in a huge loss for Dany until she brought out the Drogon to meet Jaime and Bronn head-on along with the Dothraki horde. It was a stunning display of power, and while Bronn proved they could wound a dragon, he also proved that it wasn't so simple to take one down. Not only did Drogon tank that scorpion arrow, he proceeds to take down the scorpion immediately after. Number 8, the North remembers. We ended the last season with Arya quickly dispatching of all of the Sons of Frey in one swift move by masquerading as Walder Frey and poisoning all of their drinks at a feast in what could be called the Red Buffet. This season started off with Arya serving Walder a jumbo serving of Frey pie. It really let us in on the ruthless nature of Arya when it came to executing her list of names. Not only did she poison an entire house, she butchered the lot and baked the damn pie, then proceeded to slit Walder's throat. It was a long time coming and we finally got it, and out of all of the betrayals that happened throughout the series, this one was one of my top retributions. Number 7, Drogon meets Jon. We've all been theory crafting for a while now as to Jon's true origins. R+L=J came about rather early in the series, and with the season finale it was finally triple confirmed. This scene was a perfect mixer for them to incorporate, as it gave credence to the theory without outwardly confirming it prior to Bran's revelation. So what happened in the scene? Jon meets Drogon for the first time, and in a stunning display of perseverance, Jon doesn't back down from Drogon's intimidating sneer, because Drogon's sneer quickly turns into reverence. Jon was like, "You're a dragon, I'm gonna pet you." And Drogon replies, "Oh, your blood smells familiar, I'll let you pet me, yes." Additionally, while I speculated that Dany had been slowly falling for Jon ever since she gave in to his request for dragonglass, when Dany sees Drogon at ease with Jon, it quickly adds to her mounting desire for him. This was an additional notch for the R+L=J fans out there. I suspect we'll see him atop Rhaegal soon, considering Rhaegal was in fact named after his father. Number 6, Lannister siblings no more. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted Jaime Lannister dead. It all been building up since the beginning of the series, acting high and mighty, being incestuous with his sister, and pushing Bran out of the window, leading to his current condition. He semi-redeemed himself when he treated Catelyn with some semblance of respect, and even going as far as becoming amicable with Brienne. But as soon as he was in bed with Cersei again, his loyalties quickly shifted, and he was once again in a position to be his sister's puppet. Why this scene ranks up here is because he stands up to Cersei. Steadfast and stalwart, he wasn't giving an inch to her, and when he walked away from her as she proclaimed, "No one walks away from me," I knew he was done with her. His own sister had threatened to have Clegane kill him, but a bit of humanity shone through, and she couldn't do it. Jaime is now a free agent, ladies and gentlemen, and what he does from now on will have a huge impact on how the War with the Dead plays out, but also how the War for Westeros plays out. Number 5, the Fellowship of the Night. As I dubbed them in one of our previous reaction videos, we got to see this series' own fellowship undertake a daunting task of capturing a White Walker. The task itself was pretty suicidal, considering they don't just wander alone at night taking a piss in the woods. Taking on one white would mean taking on a bunch, or even slightly more intimidating, an army. And that's exactly what they got. This entire arc was pretty spectacular, as we got to see flaming swords, a white bear, and some pretty awesome fighting. They learned how to dispatch of several whites by killing the progenitor, and they also got themselves in quite a pickle. Having been stranded and surrounded on a lone outcropping in the middle of a frozen lake, it seemed like it was the end for our fellowship, but Gandalf and the Eagles came at last. Dragons, and Dany. This also resulted in the death of Viserion, Dany's smallest dragon. Number 4, Aegon Targaryen. With Samwell reaching Winterfell, he finally got a chance to meet Bran for the first time, since they helped each other earlier on in the series. Building off of the meeting between Jon and Drogon, Bran finally spits out the truth of the matter. Jon was the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. He was to be a Sand because he was born in Dorne. However, Samwell quickly rebuffs him and tells him of Rhaegar's official annulment with Ellaria Martell, an official marriage to Lyanna Stark, making him in fact legitimate. So we got confirmation that he was in fact of royalty, but we also got another macro revelation in this scene, and that is Lyanna's words finally being coherent in the Tower of Joy scene. His name is Aegon Targaryen. Not only is he a Targaryen and a Stark, a dragon and a wolf, his true name is Aegon Targaryen. What this means moving forward remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure, if Bran is not able to reveal this very truth to Jon himself, Jon still in fact knows nothing. Number 3, Godzilla cometh. Okay, so not only did they take down Viserion at the Battle of the Lake, but they also brought him back to life, with blue contacts and everything. The army of the Night King now has a dragon, and he's spitting that atomic breath. In one fell swoop, the dragon takes down the wall and allows the army to proceed forth into Westeros, and there are a few things why this ranks high on my list. One, because it's a freaking ice dragon. Second, there's a chance that Bran could quite possibly warg into this one at some point in the future. Let's say they are at a battle in Winterfell and Viserys Zilla is wreaking havoc. Just when all seems lost, Bran, in a desperate attempt to even the playing field, wargs into the dragon and turns the tables. It could happen. Now at the same time, it could turn out to be a second somewhat micro dance of dragons, Drogon and Dany, Rhaegal and Jon in one corner, and Viserion and the Night King in the other. All I'm saying is this means we'll have dragons fighting one another, and it'll be spectacle at some point when it happens. Another possibility, Ghost's pack and Nymeria's pack all attack Viserion like velociraptors on T-Rex, and we get that kind of retribution. How insane would that be? Number 2, Targaryen love affair. We knew from the beginning of the season when they first met that there was some chemistry. They both come from Targaryen blood, and the truth of their origins both line up to political gambits and preservation of houses. They learned of the long night inside the Dragonstone caves together, and they seemed to break bread rather easily when it came to coming to terms for both their respective movements. But then things began to open up. Dany saw how Drogon acted in front of Jon, and she almost lost him in the battle at the lake. It was after that moment that Dany realized she had fallen for Jon, and in that moment, Jon fell for Dany, going so far as to bend the proverbial and figurative knee and call her his queen. We finally get to Bran revealing his true identity, and they finally get it on, which was satisfying in terms of seeing how these two finally come to terms with their feelings for each other, and not to mention having Bran narrate over this whole endeavor, sexy as hell. On top of that, when you're listening to Bran's revelations during this whole sexcapade, you realize that the Targaryens are finally back to screwing each other. Jon's a little bit of Stark though, right? So that makes it okay. Number one, Arya and Sansa play the game, the coup de grace of the entire season. The quintessential moment of the season for me was probably the one narrative out of the whole season that took several episodes to unfold. While some may complain that the payoff was hastily put together, I remind you that this ploy and scheme has been unfolding over several episodes. From the moment she displayed her combat skills in front of Sansa and Littlefinger, she knew what she was doing. So they played a little game of cat and mouse. Littlefinger let Arya follow him around and planted evidence to lead her thoughts in a certain direction, but we're forgetting Bran already revealed the dagger she carried was not Tyrion's, but Littlefinger's. So I'm going to believe that Arya let Littlefinger believe he had her fooled. At the same time, Littlefinger was trying to sow the seeds of mutiny by trying to play the two sisters against each other. It would be as simple as that, right? But he forgot one important thing. They all know each other way too much, and have been through so much that they aren't as fragile and weak-minded as once thought. Sansa, on the other hand, kept up appearances of being weak. Littlefinger thought her mind was still malleable, so he began planning ideas in her head about how Arya was trying to take over. Little does he know they've already had it out when Arya confronted Sansa about the note. Arya plainly spoke. She was not interested in being the Lady of Winterfell. And on top of that, she bluntly came at Sansa saying it would be just as easy to wear her face and be lady, but Sansa knew from the very beginning Arya wasn't interested in that kind of life. So Sansa put on a little show for Littlefinger. He thought the trial was going to see an end of another Stark, and that's when Sansa hit him. With the three-eyed raven present and Arya about to answer for some crime she committed, she dropped the bomb on Littlefinger and it spelled the end for him. This marked the beginning of a new era for the Starks, one that saw Arya, the expert in all espionage, and Sansa, the expert in politicking. Bran, the all-seeing three-eyed raven, would be there to dole out the truth at any given moment. No one could manipulate this family ever again. I know, I topped off my list with Arya delivering a killing blow to Littlefinger. But Arya is my favorite character, so sue me. Her growth throughout the entire series has gone from being a tomboyish preteen who wants to play swords with the big boys, surviving servitude, traveling the seas, training with the Faceless Men, escaping her captor, and making it back all the way to Westeros. She went from a hapless pretender to an executor of her will. Season 8 is truly going to move some stones, and by the end of it, I'm sure we're going to have a brand new Stonehenge. But what were your favorite moments? Did I hit all of your favorite moments? Did I miss any? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more videos. And as always, I'm Element, and I'll speak to you beautiful people next time. Bye.